This video here is for Naughty Odell that was talking about how he just made a purchase on a new machine. Essentially, it'll be this one, I think, right here. This is, you guys might have seen my other video, the Miller XMT 350 Madness. I used to use just the regular XMT 350, and it was before they had the MPA power source, and they eventually rolled out a few years later, I believe, Optima pulse pendant that adapted to it. Now these ones here, they're all built in. Strictly here, we use these machines just for CV MIG or pulse MIG. We don't use any of the other processes on them for the type of work that we do here. So, got 350 MPA power source. S-74 MPA plus feeder. Great setup. They got lots of great features in them. As I was mentioning to Naughty, sorry for the background noise. These guys like to hammer a lot of stuff here. No refinement. So of course I got my pulse setting on auto. So Synergic pulse, and like I say, what Synergic pulse will do, it'll automatically adjust your wire, it'll adjust your arc length to the amount of wire input that you desire. So basically, the way that I can explain it is, let's say you want to spray transfer on a corner-to-corner joint, like 1/8 or something like that. You'll get your desired arc length and your wire speed. And all you need to do is, if you want to go up to something bigger, is just turn up your wire speed, and it'll still keep that spray transfer, but it'll just be a more powerful spray transfer. So you could like spray transfer 3/8 or something like that. So I mean, you could use it for like a globular or whatever the setting is. But the key is that the first arc length and wire speed input that you have, you're not going to change that type of transfer. It'll always maintain that transfer, but it'll just be either higher or lower. Once you lower your wire speed, it just automatically just adjusts your arc length to suit that need. You'll have to play around with it once you kind of get the hang of it. It's kind of almost the opposite of what you do manually. Typically, if I find that I'm not getting enough wire when I'm using Synergic like that, I will actually back down, because essentially you're going to go down on your arc length. So. But yeah, you'll have to play around with it and see. And of course, like I was saying before, what's really neat is when I build things like these toolboxes here. This is corner-to-corner joint. This is corner-to-corner joint down here. This is a fillet joint, and this is a fillet joint. So I'm doing 12 pieces at a time, and I don't want to have to go over the machine all the time and change the settings for two different joints, and I don't want to have to keep on moving my toolboxes around and handle them, and only do 2 joints every toolbox, and then have to move them back and do the other 2 joints at a different setting. So that setting works great. So how you get to that is in the settings again on here. You go to schedule, and now you're going to turn schedule on to trigger. And so now you're going to exit that, and you can see now I'm on schedule B. You can just tap the trigger, it'll go to schedule A, schedule B, schedule A. So schedule A, I'd probably have somewhere around 46 and probably 460 for my fillet. say right there, and then schedule B will be 42, and probably turn my wire speed down a little bit. So the one funky thing that I find with doing this is I try to put my higher setting on schedule B, so I should have done that first. So 46 469, because it doesn't let you change the wire on schedule B. As you can see here, I'm doing it, but on schedule A. So now it's down to 360, so I'm going to turn this down to, let's say 42 360 will be my corner to corner. Schedule B, 46 469. So that's a pretty cool feature. The other thing that I don't really use here, because I don't really weld a lot of thin gauge stuff, is the profile settings. And it's almost like what Lincoln markets pulse on pulse. There it is here. So it changes your voltage high and low, and it cranks up your wire speed and slows it down. So essentially it gives you that like TIG-like appearance on thinner gauge stuff. You can use it on anything really, but I think that's the primary use is for thinner stuff. So you can just go to yes, and then once you do that, you're gonna get out of this, and then a short press on the setup button will get you back in there, and then you'll see it go profile on, and then after that it'll ask for pulse frequency 2.5 times a second. You can adjust that. Like I say, I don't really use that, so I don't know too much about that. I've used it once or twice. It does really give a nice appearance if you're looking for that TIG-like look. But yeah, your pre-flow, post-flow settings, run-in speed, and there's another cool thing that's on here too that is called retract. See if I can find it. Maybe it was only on the might only be on the D machines, not the S machines, but there's a retract option where you can have a preset amount of where let's say you finish your weld and you don't like how much wire stick out you have out of your gun, if it has that much. The retract option lets you once you finish your weld, it'll actually pull that wire back in after you complete your weld to whatever determined length that you like. So that's kind of cool. I haven't used it, but it's a neat option. They're getting pretty fancy with these things. Maybe I'll make if I have time today, I'll make a short video too of our 350 MPA with the D-74, and it's actually got A, B, C, and D settings for your trigger function. So, and of course, because it's dual feed, you can do it on steel and aluminum. Because you'll have one side steel, one side aluminum for your one side push pull, and one side just your steel whip. And it's also obviously you can pulse metal core, hardwire, all that kind of stuff too with the MPA. So we've only had it for just a few days, so it'd be interesting to try that out. Maybe I'll throw down some videos of that once I get some steel stuff going. But yeah, anyways, that's the machine there. And yeah, any more questions, just feel free to hit me up. Thanks.